Crypto is complicated, especially if you're new to this technology. Private keys are one of the biggest worries. Everyone is afraid they will lose their seed phrase and lose access to their wallets. Legitimate concern. This is why a lot of crypto holders put their trust in large custodians that promise to keep their crypto safe. But what happens when one of these massive institutions lose the keys after you trust them with your money? This kind of thing happens every day, and this is how you can prevent that from happening. Let's get it. Welcome to BitSquad Crypto. My name is Ben. In this video, we're going to talk about the most recent contagion situation to hit the crypto markets. Last week, a large crypto custodian called Prime Trust was placed under receivership and forced to shut down by financial regulators after it was revealed that the company had a massive hole in its balance sheet. Now, if you aren't familiar with the term receivership, this basically means that the company's assets will now be controlled by an independent third party that will be in charge of paying off their debts as best as possible. Regulators say that Prime Trust owes its customers over $85 million in fiat, has about $3 million on hand. They can't cover this gap with their crypto holdings either because they're short there too, owing their customers about $69.5 million in crypto with only $68.6 million in crypto on hand. So considering they're too short with their crypto and they only have on hand $3 million in cash, during the whole of $82 million. Doesn't seem like that much compared to FTX, but still a lot of money. According to all the reports that are coming out about the case, the troubles for Prime Trust began all the way back in 2021 when the company began forwarding payments and deposits to legacy crypto wallets they were no longer able to access. It's a bit hard to believe the respected custodian responsible for handling so much money would make such a rookie mistake. After noticing the initial hole in their balance sheet, they got even more reckless and started making investments with their customers' funds. They also had a massive fundraising round last year where they raised over $107 million, while they knew they had a massive hole on their balance sheet. So I guess they blew all that money revenge trading too. There were no signs that anything was wrong at Prime Trust until a few weeks ago when a deal fell through with another custodian called BitGo. BitGo was expected to acquire Prime Trust, but unexpectedly pulled out the deal last month. After the deal fell through, a lot of people started to wonder what BitGo found in their books that caused them to pull out. Considering how deep they were in the hole, it's actually kind of crazy that they would try to go through with an acquisition and allow another company to look at their books. Speaking of looking at books, make sure to check out my new book, Catching Up to FTX, Lessons Learned During My Crusade Against Fraud, Corruption, and Bad Hair, on Amazon. Pre-orders available now. Also be sure to become a member of the BitSquad by smashing that subscribe button. All right, back to it. I'm gonna get real with you guys for a second here. Not to brag, but I saw this coming. Even though the news about Prime Trust just came out last month, I started getting suspicious of them a few months ago after finding out they were a custodian for FTX. After FTX collapsed, Prime Trust published a statement to reassure its customers that their money was safe. In the statement, they had said that they had no exposure to FTX and also went out of their way to say that they were not commingling funds as FTX had been. They were bold enough to say that we are not borrowing or lending against customer custodial funds. This ensures that when the markets face instability, we are able to fulfill financial commitments to our customers and operate business as usual. To be clear, they were just a custodian, so technically they had nothing to do with the scams that Sam and friends were running behind the scenes at FTX. But as their custodian, they probably also had insight into what was happening behind the scenes there. I thought that there might even be a possibility that they had some type of knowledge about what Sam was doing or even providing some help. Now that the dust has settled, we can see they had similar business models. Evidence is also now starting to come out that Prime Trust was involved with facilitating political donations on behalf of Sam Bankman-Fried. In a Texas filing earlier this year, the Federal Election Commission pointed to Prime Trust as the party that handled the donations. While I was researching Prime Trust, I found that they too were the custodian, of course, for Swan Bitcoin, a company run by notorious laser eye cultist Cory Klippsten. He's blocked me now, but I tried to publicly ask him about Prime Trust back in March and was mobbed by his crazy delusional followers. Big shocker. I didn't know for sure that Prime Trust had insolvency issues at that time, but I could tell that there was something a bit fishy. Klippsten denied there was anything wrong, but as we now know, something obviously was wrong. They might have even known about it. Now, after the stuff started coming out, Swan switched custodians, of course, and they decided to make the move. It wasn't impeccable timing. It was certainly because their customers were about to lose all their money because Cory Klippsten, who says you shouldn't trust third parties, trusted a third party like an idiot. Big shocker. That's why we call him a grouper, folks, and because he's got really, really bad hair. But as you expect, Cory has denied all claims and said they had already been planning to switch custodians for 9 months. There have been some concerns that Swan Bitcoin could face clawbacks when Prime Trust goes through bankruptcy because of when their funds were moved. Klippsten said that their Swan customers would be protected in the case of clawbacks, and the timing alone would not justify a clawback, but if investigators found out that he had advanced knowledge of the problems at Prime Trust, clawbacks could become a reality. I hope this doesn't happen for the customer's sake, but it couldn't happen to any better of a guy, Cory Klippsten. F that guy. There's also the fact that the new custodian for Swan is Fortress Trust, a company that was founded by former CEO of Prime Trust, Scott Purcell. He left Prime Trust in 2021 to work on Fortress Trust, but the timing here is a bit weird too, because the problem with the legacy wallet was traced back to the same year, 2021. I know these are different situations, but this reminds me a lot of how Jed McCaleb left Mt. Gox in someone else's hands when it was secretly leaking money. Fortress Trust wasn't the only crypto company to be formed out of the Prime Trust offices while the money was disappearing. There was also Banq, B-A-N-Q, which was founded in 2021 as well, and they are already bankrupt. One of Banq's investors, a firm called N9, is now suing both Banq and Prime Trust for fraud. It seems that there's also some bad blood between these spin-off companies because Banq has filed lawsuits against Fortress Trust and its founder, Scott Purcell, for stealing their ideas. A few other crypto companies got caught up in the fallout, including Coinbits and Binance US, both of which have liquidity problems with the stablecoin TrueUSD after Prime Trust was shut down. Binance US was able to recover, although they are now suggesting that users would draw their funds from the platform over regulatory concerns. Coinbits, on the other hand, had liquidity issues that reached far beyond TUSD and was forced to suspend its services after announcing exposure to Prime Trust. Trust Token, company behind TUSD, claimed they had no exposure to Prime Trust, but attestation reports were made public that showed TUSD did have at least $26,000 held with Prime Trust. This is just a fraction of the $3 billion circulating supply, but the dishonesty caused a major panic, which resulted in the stablecoin losing its peg with the dollar. There were also some cases where users were unable to mint and redeem TUSD. Story's still developing, and there's a chance that we will see more news about more cases of contagion in the weeks to come. But for today, that's all I got. Be blessed. Good boy out.